Happy Wednesday, friends. Welcome to Winter Wisdom Wednesday. I am honestly en route. Traffic, I was hoping to be stationary. That did not happen. Traffic was absolutely bananas. There was like three different accidents on the Beltway today, and I don't know what that was about, but all that to say, it delayed me getting to my stationary point. So I'm going live in my car because I don't want to be too far off of the time that I said. Um, Plus, I'd made an announcement that I'd be live at noon, and I was just like, okay, we got to pull over. All that to say, I really wanted to talk about the power of permission today. I had posted a comment on Threads, or I guess not a comment, but a post on Threads, was kind of reflecting, and I was sharing that, and this was probably, oh goodness, this has been about 13 years ago. It's been a long while. It's been about 13 years ago. I was sitting in my therapy session, and my therapist said to me, now granted, this was probably the third therapist I had been to. Um, One that just didn't work for us, and then the other one we had to change from because she actually moved practices. So we moved to someone else. And all things happen for a reason. When I say she was literally the best thing that could have ever happened to me, I was sharing with her, and at the time, my husband at the time was cheating. And I had found out that there were other children created. Um, and, and I was struggling, as you could imagine. I was struggling to forgive, struggling to just deal with the reality that my marriage was not as good as I thought it was. Because for me, um, I had one perspective of our relationship, and granted, I knew it wasn't perfect and it wasn't um, great all of the time. I didn't think that it was that bad. Okay. And if any of you can relate, it's different when you and another person are living in two totally different realities, right? Hey, Colton, welcome. And welcome to everybody. Thank you for logging in to check in with me today. If I don't see your comment, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to move forward with what I want to share so I don't miss my points. All that to say, um, you can relate that sometimes your perspective of a relationship is like a lot different than someone else's. And for me, clearly we were on two different wavelengths because I had no idea that he was having an affair. And in hindsight, I look back to different things and it's like, well, dang, that was a sign, right? That was um obviously an indicator. But again, if you don't suspect someone to be unfaithful, you're kind of oblivious to a lot of the signs. And for me, that wasn't a norm that I was used to. All that to say, I was trying to make it work, trying to stay for the kids. If you don't hear nothing else I say today, if you are watching and you are trying to save a relationship for the kids, it is the dumbest thing ever in life to do. Most kids are very intuitive, and they're a lot more perceptive than we think they are. And they can tell when y'all don't like each other. They don't care that you guys opted to try to stay and work it out. It is a miserable existence to know that your parents are unhappy with each other. And you're also setting an example that will eventually be their example. That's an unhealthy one. And you're teaching them that relationships are meant to be unhealthy, and that's not the message you want to communicate. I wanted all of my kids to have a healthy view of relationships. Yes, relationships are hard sometimes and you have to fight through some things, but everything is not worth fighting for. And I was in that mindset for a long time because I grew up in the church, and it was the conversation of pray for your marriage, fight for your marriage. God hates divorce. Um, you got to keep your family together. You don't want your kids to grow up in a broken home. But the reality is that I was not the person that was breaking the home. The trust was being broken by actions that were outside of my control, right? So at that point, when that particular action is done, I have to ask myself some real hard questions. And I'm a firm believer that if you're going to stay and try to work something out with someone, you really have to be committed to the process of forgiveness. You really have to be committed to the process of moving forward. And you really have to be committed to the process of letting go. And unfortunately, when it comes to infidelity, that's one that you may move on from, but it's very difficult to let go, and it's very hard to forget and act like it never happened. And your relationship is never the same. It requires a level of vulnerability and a rebuilding of trust that I feel like is so difficult to gain when your trust has been broken in that manner. Hi, Linda. Hi, Toot. Thank you guys for being here. You guys give a special shout out to our mods. I appreciate them for holding my channel down because they do. Um, all that to say, I was sitting in my therapist's office and I was really going through, y'all. I had developed an autoimmune disease due to the stress of everything I was trying to manage. I was a mom to 3 young children at the time. Well, four. No, it was four. 4 young children at the time. Um, my life was in chaos, and it was a chaos that I had no control over because I didn't create the chaos. We were in and out of child support court with the other children he created outside of our marriage. Here I was. I think back to that time, like, girl, what in the world was you thinking? I'm sitting there in child support court with my cheating husband while he's trying to sort out custody and paternity with his mistress. Foolery. So, my therapist said to me at the time, Winter, I respect your beliefs. I respect that you want to try to move forward with this marriage. But it seems to me you've given him enough chances to course correct. And at some point, it's okay to give yourself permission to get off his roller coaster. Y'all, those words hit me so deep. And that was the first time I'd ever heard anything like that. It was okay to give myself permission to get off his roller coaster. When I tell you from that moment forward, it completely set me free. I started to really work on myself because one of the things I didn't want to be was bitter. I didn't want to be a bitter ex-wife. I didn't want to be a bitter parent. I didn't want to be a bitter friend. You know, those friends that you can't even hang around because they're always complaining about something that happened to them. You people that do that are annoying. Just so you know, your friends may love you too much to tell you the truth, but you are annoying and isolating yourself because your friends get sick of you complaining all the time. So this is my challenge to you to heal. Go do the work and heal. All that to say, I didn't want to be that person. If I was going to move forward, regardless of what my decision was, I wanted to be whole. I wanted to be healed. I wanted to be just overall better because I wasn't. I was failing miserably at trying to keep myself together and hold myself together for the sake of my kids. And about 2 years later, I don't even know that it was 2 years, might have been 1 year later, I found out he was cheating again. When I tell you it was the most anticlimactic end to a relationship, we had been together for 14 years at that point, and I said, I'm done. I've had enough. I've done all I can do. I don't know what to do anymore, but I'm done. And that was that. I started the process of healing and moving forward. Now, healing is not always an exact science. And in retrospect now, thinking back to that time, I think for me, I was so deprived and starved of love for so long. I think I just wanted to feel that. And so that caused me to make a lot of ignorant choices after that divorce was finalized because I just wanted to be loved. I wanted to be in love. I wanted to find my person. When in reality, I still had a lot of healing to do. And I still had a lot of growing to do and maturing to do. And when you don't do that, you just don't make the best decisions. That's just the reality of it. So for me, I feel like I look back at the choices I made after that divorce. And I'm like, girl, you should have just been single. You should have been okay with being by yourself for quite some time. Because none of the people I entertained after that were worth entertaining. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. And I would have never ultimately settled down with any of them because I wasn't to the place where I really knew what I wanted. Um, all that to say, the power of permission was very powerful for me, because by granting myself the permission to move forward and to file for the divorce and not fault myself for wanting a better relationship, not fault myself for wanting a better quality of life. And it's no quality of life when your health is suffering because you're so freaking stressed out, right? By everything that's going on. And the stark difference for me was literally discovering that I was more capable and more powerful than I thought. I was more intelligent than I ever realized. I was more gifted and talented than I'd ever given myself credit for. And a lot of the relationship that I was in at the time didn't allow room for that, didn't allow space for that. I tell people all the time I couldn't have been married to my first husband and been this person. I couldn't have been evolved. I don't even count the second one. That just should have never happened. And we just act like that don't exist. But I couldn't have been Winter and add all the things that you want to put after that and been in that relationship. He wouldn't have understood. We were so different personality wise that I would have lacked a lot of support. And the reality was there just wasn't a whole lot of love in that. We were young, we did the best we could do, but when you marry that young, you don't really know each other that well. And I can wholeheartedly say now on the other side where we have such a fantastic co-parenting relationship, we both would say we wouldn't pick each other. If we had to do it all over again, we wouldn't be each other's choice because we're just two different people. But at the end of the day, we had 4 beautiful children that we love dearly, and it's been a joy to raise them, and not have the chaos that we once had, because again, I gave myself permission to move on and move forward. And it's been the most freeing thing. It's one of those things where you get to the end of it and it's like, dang, if I wouldn't have had the courage to choose, if I wouldn't have had the courage to move on and say, you know what, this doesn't serve me. This is not the healthiest relationship for me. This is not the right path for me. I really don't know what my life would have been like. I think I would have just existed, which is disturbing to think about. Ham Sandwich Jacqueline, welcome. Welcome to everyone that's logged in. And I think that's the important part of giving yourself permission. Where have you failed to give yourself permission? I admire my mom so much because she got dealt a real difficult hand when my dad filed for divorce after 27 years of marriage. It was the only man she'd ever been with, only man she had ever known. And how old was she? She would have been 46 at the time. So as you can imagine, 46, the only life you've ever known is blown up in a matter of seconds. And she came to the discovery that her retirement was gone, her house was in foreclosure, her car was getting repossessed, like just utter chaos, right? Hi, Inez. Hey, Vanessa. If this is who I think it is, sending my condolences to you on the loss of your mom. My mom did inform us that you lost your mom, and I'm so sorry to hear that. So, giving my condolences to you and your family. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. But all that to say, she moved to where I was located and started her life over. And when I tell you, I look at her, she recently lost weight and got her diabetic numbers down. Um, but she has just rebuilt her life over the last almost 20 years. She's rebuilt her life. She went back to school. She got her pre-law degree, um, got her passport, started traveling, going on trips out of the country, going on a cruise, like just living her life. And I tell people all the time, I had a real life example on how to move forward. She never made a case out of bad mouthing my dad. She encouraged us to maintain relationship with him. Um, but she gave herself permission to start over. It wasn't easy. 46, 47 years old, moving to a completely different area that is completely foreign to what you're used to. She grew up in a really small town of about 6, 7, 800 people. It's not very big. To move to the DMV, and it's a massive area, to see her at this age thriving. My kids think she's the best thing ever. My youngest son in particular is ridiculous. But they will fight you over their grandma. They don't play about her. They love her so much. But to see her at this phase in her life doing so well, for me, it's an example that we can do hard things. We can begin again. We can rebuild, and not only rebuild, but rebuild better. Um, Half of the battle is actually saying yes to your future. Half of the battle is actually saying yes to the unknown, and that's scary for a lot of people when we simply just don't know what's beyond, and what's next. I always believe that God will never let the last that you had be the best that you had. Kid you not. I do not believe that God will let the last that you had be the best that you had. And when I tell you, God has proven that to me. Every time I feel like I go through a setback, the comeback is even better. The comeback is even bigger. The comeback is even stronger. And so for me, it's all about really giving yourself the permission. The permission piece is so powerful because you realize that no one's coming to save you. And so if you don't actively take a role in saving yourself, then you're going to be unsaved. You're going to be lost. And yes, we can have people that help facilitate, motivate, provide a hand up here and there. But ultimately, your comeback, your bounce back, your rebuild is your responsibility. So that was so heavy on me this morning because honestly, as I've been in this season of restructuring and rebuilding, it's been like so different than anything I've ever experienced. But the peace that I have while I'm doing it this time is so different than the times in times past. Like, can't really articulate it. One of these days, maybe I'll find the words. But it's different. I go to bed, I'm not worrying or trying to figure this out or that out. I have some things real time that I need to figure out and I need to like handle. But for the first time, I'm not stressed. I'm not having sleepless nights. I'm not, breaking out in hives. Now, listen, in times past, my stress reaction would be physical. So I would have hives from stress. And I haven't had that. So for me, it's just been a blessing to see the growth and the transformation that has come as a result of giving myself permission to leave reality TV. And I won't say leave reality TV. I say leave that version of reality TV. Even when everyone thought I was talking crazy, even when everyone thought, oh, Winter's just bitter, she's just mad because she didn't get a good edit. No. Even when people literally thought I was lying and making stuff up. I gave myself permission to speak my truth, walk in that truth. And when I tell you, God has vindicated me in a way that I didn't see coming. It's been such a beautiful thing to witness that I've been able to leave those things which are behind me and press forward and toward the things that I know God has waiting for me, and that is next on my journey as I, you know, refine this period of my life. Um, Feeling like my kids are in a good place, my relationships in a good place, my friendships are in a good place, my family is strong. That's been honestly a blessing. And I would encourage those of you that are kind of sitting there, maybe feeling like you're in the valley of indecision and decision, maybe you're feeling lost. This is a great time to give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to do all the things that you have it in your heart to do. I always feel like sometimes you just need to move, and God provides the route as we move. Sometimes our faith is based in action. Inaction oftentimes is a form of doubt. Unless your inaction is a result of planning and you're pausing to plan, sometimes your action is the faith that's needed to get the ball rolling. Um, I know for me, I revamped everything and I just really focused on, okay, what does Winter really want to do? When I tell you people have been sending me referrals like crazy, I said I wouldn't coach individual clients again. People have been asking me to coach them, and I'm just like, okay, God, I hear you. I don't, I don't always get a say in what God wants me to do. The best thing I could do is just be obedient about it. Hey, hi, Melanie. Um, but it's been interesting. The clients have been coming. Hi, Erica. Welcome. Um, as I feel like the additional clients will come as it relates to my business. All that to say, I will plug my business, Brilliant Parlor Communications. If you guys know of any businesses that are looking for Marcom support, and Marcom is simply marketing and communication support. If you know anyone looking for a speaker as it relates to business and leadership development, plug your girl. We're finally starting to push on things, so I'm finally ready. Oh gosh, it's been crazy, but we're getting there. If you are a woman that's looking for some personal and professional coaching, you can go to my website, winwithwinter.com. All of the options are there. Um, yeah, you're free to sign up and book your appointment. But it's been amazing. God is good. So the power of permission. If you haven't given yourself permission, now is a great day or great time as any to do so. Um, and you will be amazed like how your life begins to align. I feel like the minute I gave myself permission to own my truth. Queen Sheba's interview for me was a pivotal interview. It was a pivotal action, and it was a pivotal turn in my personal and professional life. I do not regret it. And I believe that that simple act of speaking my truth unlocked so much for me. I can't even begin to describe. Like, was it nerve-wracking at first? Yes, very scary actually. But it's been up ever since. And it's wild to me the things that have been happening. By the way, if you check my community post, you check my Facebook page, actually it's on all of my platforms. I'm being honored at a brunch in July. They reached out to me and said they wanted to honor me, which I don't, I get honored from time to time, but I thought it was a very, I don't know, it was a very touching thing. And all that to say, you never know who's watching. You never know who's watching. Another magazine reached out to me to feature me in an article, and I was referred by an older lady um, who literally wrote them and said that, she was impressed by me and the things that I was doing and recommended me to be featured in this magazine. Y'all, it is nobody but God. I promise you. Nobody but God. Yes, Jacqueline, I agree. Giving yourself permission is a freeing release. Um, you said your interview with Queen Sheba brought out the real critical thinkers. Yes, it did. Yes, it did, Jacqueline. Um, but things like that, like the power of permission, is like a key unlocking the door to the things that you really want. So give yourself permission today. Don't make up another excuse as to why you can't and why you won't and why now is not the time. Now, timing is important, but permission is always the right thing to do. It may take time. Obviously, I'm referring to something that was 12 years ago for me, and I feel like 12 years it has taken me to live out this power of permission, right? But the goal is to just do and to just start. And I'm such a firm believer that that single act of alignment unlocks so much more. And God does the rest. So I'm going to hop off here and continue about my day. Thank you guys for joining me for Winter Wisdom Wednesday. Hey, if something I said resonated with you and you think somebody else could benefit from it, share it with them. Be sure to like this post, this video. Be sure to subscribe if you have not. Be sure to follow me on all platforms. I'm most active on Threads right now, so if you want to hear me yak and spout off my random thoughts, feel free to follow me on Threads. Um, but I love you guys, and I'm so looking forward to growing this channel um, and growing this community. Excited to be back. I've missed you guys. But we're rocking and rolling, and we're just getting the party started. You guys have a great and glorious day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.